Well, hey, my friends, you're watching Wired Up Retro, episode number 93. In today's video, you'll be seeing me being interviewed by YouTuber Ballistik Coffee Boy. He reached out to me not long ago asking me, hey, maybe you could show off some of these controllers and discuss video games and systems of yesteryear. And I agreed to that and got to know Brian. He definitely is a great guy. And I'll be showing off a number of different controllers and controller ideas, video games in general. We're going to be talking about the TI-99 4A. I've got a couple of special controllers that I've already shown on the YouTube channel that will be featured in this interview with Brian. So one of which is the Atari 5200 Pro Stick made by Cyber Freak, very wonderful Atari 5200 controller. And another one is a conversion I made of the Atari 5200 trackball that I did. This is a number of years ago where I kind of outfitted it with a rotary knob, or you could say a spinner, and it does spin freely in either direction. So yeah, I'll be bringing this up. I've got a Tron joystick made by M Network for the Atari 2600. He and I both own this, and we'll be showing off our M Network blue joysticks for this episode of Wired Up Retro. I've got another one made by Retro Game Boys. This is again an Atari 5200 controller that has the keypad mounted on top. I've also kind of retrofitted it with this nice little joystick topper made by Tony Stout. And I really like this. When I add this, it just has that 5200 flair to it. And it also has these little knobs, which are potentiometer adjusters slash paddles. Okay, the one for vertical isn't going to be too much used, but the horizontal one can actually be used as a paddle in games like Super Breakout or Kaboom. So I really like this Retro Game Boys controller, and yeah, the fact that I've added this on kind of makes it extra cool in my opinion. Another thing I'm going to discuss in this video is an Atari 2600 game called Turbo Arcade made by Champ Games. And I actually went out recently and bought the Turbo Arcade paddle, and this is really nice. It's got multiple buttons. It is a very special controller designed specifically for Turbo Arcade. So I think you're going to be enjoying that. And this, I'll go ahead and turn it on, is my Atari Game Station Go. We're going to be discussing the Game Station Go, and it will also be discussing this gamepad made by My Arcade for the Game Station Go as a external controller. So this actually, Brian, in his most recent video, reviewed this, kind of went into what can it be used for? Can it be used on a PC or can it be used on other systems? He covers that in his video. But I'll mention this. Unfortunately, Brian's YouTube channel just yesterday, I believe, got hacked. And that means it's down. Now, is it down for good? I really hope not. But you know, I'm definitely going to say a prayer or two for Brian and his situation. His YouTube channel, if you seek out my video on his channel, you're not going to find it. You'll only find it right now, at least on my channel. But yeah, here's to you, Ballistik Coffee Boy. I hope things get resolved. Yeah, I like coffee too. All right, so yeah, so anyway, another thing, we did discuss the inevitable Atari 5200 controller, and some of the downsides of it are discussed. But in some ways, it has its advantages, and we both recognize that. The 5200 controller can be replaced with a variety of different kinds of controllers, and I've covered this on my YouTube channel for years. One of which is a PlayStation controller. You can actually make yourself an adapter. This is Dr. Scott Baker's design for Atari 5200 adapter with keypad that lets you use PlayStation controllers on your 5200, even for dual stick games like Robotron 2084 and Space Dungeon. So it's pretty neat, and I have a video dedicated to that, but I'll bring that up in today's video. So, but yeah, I want to just mention that the Atari Game Station Go is going to be a video I'm going to come up with pretty quick here. I've got a little bit of work to do on it, but the video has a lot to do with using external controllers, not just the one made by My Arcade, but a variety of other types of external controllers that could be used with this. And this can be easily just connected with an HDMI cable to your TV, and then you can actually use a variety of different wired controllers with it. They're going to be USB based controllers, some of which can be wireless, which they require their own receiver. And in order to have wireless, you can't just direct connect a wireless controller like a PS5 controller or PS4 controller direct through the air to the system. But if you have the right adapter connected to the USB-C port in the back of it, they can be wireless. So anyway, it's going to be kind of an interesting video coming up. And I definitely am looking forward to sharing a lot of the information that I've gleaned. This encyclopedic knowledge of the Atari Game Station Go is going to be coming forth pretty quick here. So I hope you guys are staying tuned for my upcoming video on that. So I'm going to be showing you some of Ballistik Coffee Boy's hard work when it comes to his presentation before the interview. I think it's he's got catchy music. He's great at editing, and I really appreciate his YouTube channel. I sure hope he comes back and does it in an even better way. I mean, definitely, I don't know how he can top himself. He's a top-notch editor and top-notch presenter. So anyway, all right, here's the interview. I hope you guys enjoy it.
You are watching Ballistik Coffee Boy.
Hey everyone, BCB here. Welcome to That Atari Show. So I'm excited to come to you, and I've got such a special guest this episode. I've been waiting to interview for quite a while, and the reason is because I love his YouTube channel. So his name is Steve, or Dr. Steve, and he hosts Wired Up Retro here on YouTube. I've been watching him for the past few years. Started out, I think, during the pandemic or after, and just really fell in love with this channel. He talks about controllers for everything you can think of, not just Atari consoles and computers, but every console. He's actually, I think, making some videos right now for the Game Station Go, which I have right here, which all of you know is my product of 2025. I love it. And I also recently got the gamepad, which I'm going to be doing a full review of very, very soon on the channel. But first, I'm going to get to that Evercade backlog with Fanny on Tech as soon as I can, because I've got more on the way. I just ordered the Activision collection today, so I'm already behind like 8 carts. So it's going to be kind of an extravaganza type situation. But I do want to do a review of this, guys. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Some of you out there have said, what's the purpose of this? And, you know, I can understand if you're skeptical, right? But whenever you hook this up to a TV, for instance, you know, your Game Station Go, you can use your controller here, your Game Station Pro controller, gamepad to you know, play when this is hooked up to the TV. And it's, you know, nice. It's got all the same functions. It's got this really cool screen in the middle, which seems, it's really interesting. I've never seen someone do that where there's nothing there, but, you know, just that. But anyway, I really enjoy it, and I'm glad it arrived. I'm loving my Game Station Go even more, if possible. But I'm bringing this up because Steve has got some tips for this he's going to share with us. I can't wait to get started. There's so much to talk about, so many controllers, so many options, and I'm just, it's so cool to talk about this. So guys, grab your Java, like I do here, and let's get started. It's an awesome episode. We'll see you in a little bit.
It's Freedom Stick, it's the #1 bet. It's got no wires, it's a one to get. Arcade action is where you'll be. Yeah, Freedom Stick will set you free. No wires. It works with Sega, Nintendo too. With Atari, Commodore, it's real cool. Higher scores is what you'll see, cause Freedom Stick will set you free. No wires. Freedom Stick.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest here. I wanted to interview for at least 2 or 3 years now, since I interviewed some of his counterparts that he works with occasionally. So this is Steve. Do you want to introduce yourself, Steve, to everyone, and kind of what you do in the community?
All right. Well, I am Steve from Wired Up Retro. I have had a YouTube channel here for a bit over 10 years. Started it in 2015. And the objective of my YouTube channel from the start has been to highlight video game systems and controllers and unique things that you can do with those systems and controllers. And even modern day systems are included in my videos, but it often has kind of a callback to the old 80s video games, the days of old, you know, the great classic video games. And, you know, I do some unique things on my YouTube channel. You know, for instance, I have made old Atari controllers, like 2600 controllers, work on a Nintendo Switch. You know, on a Nintendo Switch, you can play Atari classics. You know, they have a game compilation called Flashback Atari Classics. There's also Atari 50, which is very, very popular. And, you know, people kind of, when they play with a thumbstick or a D-pad, it's just not the same. And they don't, you know, they're trying to play a paddle game with a D-pad. It's just terrible. So, you know, when you can actually use the controllers from the late 70s, early 80s to play these kinds of games, you get a whole lot more just fun out of the whole thing. And same with the joysticks. Of course, you know, being raised as a kid in the 70s and 80s, I had a joystick, and you know, I would handle this thing in my hand this particular way, and I had it down. You know, I'd have calluses on my hand, but you know, these controllers kind of became you know, the norm for me to use. And you know, when D-pad controllers like NES came out, I was like, why am I having to use my left thumb when I was using my right hand to control the joystick, it didn't make any sense. I kind of wanted to have the thumb pad on the right side on an NES controller,
Mhm.
but after a while, I got used to using the left thumb to direct the control, and I don't have too much trouble with that these days. But back in the old days, the right hand was for directional control, and then all you had on the left hand was just a single button to press. But these newer games, like in the year 1985 with NES, like I don't know, Castlevania or a variety of Mario games, you're doing a whole lot more with your left hand because you got two buttons to
Mhm.
control. And then when SNES came out, you had four buttons and these triggers to handle. So there's a lot more going on with the controller on the right hand to control buttons. And all you had to do for a lot of these games, just go left and right, and once in a while
Right.
pop up. So the left hand really wasn't that active in those games like it was with Atari. Let's say you're playing Missile Command, all the movements being done with the right hand, you're just pressing a button every once in a while. So anyway, I'm kind of a big fan of right-handed controller solutions on my channel. And I do like controllers that give you the option of selecting whether you're going to use your right hand to control the game or the left. This is an Atari 5200 trackball. It's got buttons on the left, buttons on the right. It gave you the chance to have the option to choose. And I
Mhm.
really love the Atari 5200 console. It's one of my favorites. And Brian, I'm sure you can attest to this.
Oh
I am
yeah.
a part of the Atari 5200 podcast. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just love your channel and the 5200 podcast as well. I had 4 or 5 of the co-hosts on a couple years ago, and we had a
Yeah.
good chat. I don't think you could make it, and maybe and then Glenn couldn't make it. But
Right. Yeah.
everyone else was there. Even Gigi was there.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
remember quite well. And it was so much fun. And we also talked about you a little bit, but it's one of my favorite podcasts I listen to. And you guys are still putting out episodes. Sometimes they're a little far apart, few months
Yeah.
apart. And it's worth the wait to me to hear Captain Bob and everyone, chat about 5200 games and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an awesome podcast. And because of that podcast, I looked you up on YouTube back in the day. And like
Oh,
when I first started listening to it, and I was like, this is cool. And I started watching videos about you fiddling around with controllers. And I was like, this is really neat. Because at that, it was kind of during the pandemic, I think.
yeah.
Um, and I got really back into the Atari, like everything Atari pretty much.
Yeah.
Started out with
Yes.
2600, and then I had to have a 5200, which I played on. Now I do have a history with it. I'm 50. I have a history with it because back in '83, I went to my grandmother's brother. His name was Bud, and we called him Uncle Bud. He actually passed
Yeah.
away that year. He was old, getting up there. But
Oh,
he had an arcade in his house in Grapevine, Texas, and it was amazing. He had a pool table and a bunch. He had Black Hole, the pinball machine. He had a bunch of arcade machines, and in his
nice.
living room, his kids were like older teens, and he had a kid that was in their late 20s. Well, he had his kids over and they were playing. They were playing the 5200 in their living room, and
Wow.
I was 7 or 8, and I remember going over and like because I had a 2600 at that point, and I was like, "What's that?" And they let me play. I think it was Star Raiders maybe or something because I remember
Yeah.
the Starfield. And then my dad yanked me and we left. And that's my only time I ever touched it until 2020.
Wow. So you
And
actually had a moment in the 80s that you experienced the 5200. I didn't. All my
with
friends
the
had either
with the wood
Atari or
paneling walls and the shag carpet too. I was just gonna
yeah.
add.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, all my friends had either Atari 2600 or Intellivision or ColecoVision. And
Mhm.
the ColecoVision I didn't encounter till like 1986 at one of my friends' house. But yeah, the 5200, when I started really getting into collecting big time, and that would be around starting in 1989 or 90. I think around 92 or 3, I found a 5200 at a thrift store for like $4.
So I was like, okay, I'm in. And this piece of furniture came into my house. I mean, it was big.
Yeah.
Of
It
course,
is a piece of furniture. Just
I think,
to make it clear,
yeah.
it's a piece of furniture.
And I didn't burn the house down when I plugged it in. A lot of people say, "Oh, isn't that switch box going to burn your house down?"
Yeah.
No, it might have thrown a spark, but it was fine. But anyway, and I think one of the joysticks worked and one didn't, or something like that. But anyways, I got to play a few games. And I had a coworker who was willing to trade. He wanted he had 5,200 cartridges, and he had a bunch of comic books. Or he had a big comic book collection. So I took my comic book collection, most of it, and just gave it to him. And we kind of valued it. And then we valued his game cartridges. And I got a huge stack of carts. So that's when I really came to really appreciate the 5,200. It probably would have been around 95, 96, 97. Wow. I got myself a Witco command control and also the other Competition Pro for the 5,200. Those joysticks.
Here it is.
That's actually 2600 version, but the 5200 version, I've got it around here somewhere, but I don't know.
This is the only one that I have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got a Wicco right here. So yeah, this is the Wicco.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
A friend of mine who's a fan of my channel, his name's Tony Stout. He made a 3D printed, looks like a 5200 joystick, but it fits over the Wicco to give it that 50.
Wow.
So I really like that.
That's nice and meaty. You can get your hand around it like you're in the arcade, right?
I have a whole episode of Wired Up Retro that has somewhat to do with this, as well as another thing Tony Stout put together for me, which is this a PlayStation to Atari 5200 controller adapter. He did both, and he even printed this case with the keypad buttons. But it works in an amazing way for the 5200. So, a big part of my channel on YouTube is promoting Atari 5200 as a console that if you like 80s games, or maybe think you might like 80s games, you might want to get a 5200 because you can plug a variety of different kinds of controllers into it. Like, let's say you have a PlayStation controller that is just a regular thumbstick type controller. You might enjoy the 5200 games better with that than something clunky like the actual 5200 controller, which I've got that around here. So
which is ridiculed by some, right?
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah.
By maybe more than some.
Yeah. But yeah, the 5200 controller is it's kind of got it sort of recenters, kind of, maybe not, but a lot of the games really require recentering, like Pac-Man. So you almost have to physically recenter it each time you change the direction, which may not be to many people's liking. So, yeah, the 5200 controller, it's kind of got pros and cons, and that's partially why I went with that Wicco stick, because you can actually have it in a mode where it's actually not recentering. That's good for games like Missile Command or Super Breakout. But it's also got a lever on it that lets you click it into recentering. That's what the Wicco controller kind of has over this. So the Wicco is superior to it. Mm-hmm. So once again, I'll show you that. This is the Wicco I'm talking about. So this is right now in recentering mode, but the levers are on the underside. If I unlatch those, then this becomes what I call a dead fish stick. But for certain games, you want a dead fish stick. So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was going to ask you. I went through some of my collection before we started. I got a few things, but I don't know what this is called, Steve. But I got it off of eBay, and it was from Germany or somewhere, and I use it for my 5200. This thing.
Oh yes, yeah. So that is from Greece, I believe. From
Greece. That's
John,
it.
Yeah, his name's John, but I can't pronounce his last name because he's from Greece. But it's one of those long names.
Awesome.
But, yeah,
like you plug it in, and then
he's produced amazing adapters. Mm-hmm.
You can plug in, you plug in the 5200, I think, and then a different one.
Yeah,
and you got the keypad, and then you can use something else to play the games. Which this saved my life to actually enjoy the games. This helps me a lot, and I don't know what it's called. I forgot.
Yeah, well, it's a Master Play clone if it works with Atari 2600 or Genesis controllers, which it does. So when I say Master Play clone, what I mean is it is like the Master Play interface from the 80s, which allowed you to plug an Atari 2600 joystick into your Atari 5200. And so this kind of emulates that. But the neat thing about these is they work with Genesis controllers, and I like that really a lot. And it's also got a neat feature of a little button that you press on it that is the start button for the 5200.
Yes.
So if you don't have a 5200 controller with a keypad to plug into that thing to get access to the start and the reset and the pause button, you can at least have a start button to start your game.
Yes.
If you don't have the 5200 controller to use with it.
Yeah, this is
like
awesome. I also had to get the cartridge adapter, which is kind of the size of the console itself. It fits on top, right? And you can plug in some other controllers and stuff into it, you know.
Yeah, that lets you use 2600 carts on the 5200. So nice little piece of equipment, definitely. So yeah, and on my channel, I deal with a lot of different kinds of controllers that you can use on the 5200. One of which is this one, which I reviewed recently. I got to show this. This is the Atari 5200 Pro stick.
Oh wow!
The Retro Cyber Freak makes this, and it's called the 5200 True Analog Joystick. So this is actually got analog capability, but it also recenters, so you can play Pac-Man very well. It's also got the key. It gives you that capability to choose whether you're going to play with right or left hand, which I like. The overlays from the controller of the 5200 will slide into this over overlay keypad. So it's a very nice controller at a premium price. I think it
looks premium, but it I mean, it almost matches kind of the size of the console, which is cool too, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but I really like this. And there's another. Let me show you just one more here. So Retro Game Boys. Oopsie, I'm making a mess. Okay, Retro Game Boys makes this controller, and that's for the 5200. Now I took off the wall top and I put a 2600 control stick right there in place of it, just because I thought it looked pretty interesting.
It does.
And, yeah, these buttons. Let me show you something else I do on my YouTube channel. Here it is. So there it goes. Okay, you can just edit that out. All right. So on my YouTube channel, I can sometimes take, like this is an interesting thing to do. I would take a rubber band and double it over, and I'm trying to do this with one hand, and then slide this all the way down to the bottom, and then. This is the kind of thing I do on my YouTube channel, just modify things in a way that actually really is interesting. So I almost got it to the bottom of the stick. So now that I've done this and I've had success with that, I'm going to take that Wicco thing that Tony Stout made, slide it over the top, and it actually is now tightly fit to this. So it's like a 5200 very tall joystick to use with this
I
thing.
love that. That's so neat.
It's kind of interesting. And these are potentiometer adjusters. So you can actually tune in, if you're, let's say, a missile command, you plug it into your system and the cursor is like up in the corner instead of in the center. And you're like, what's going on with my 5200? Well, by adjusting these, it'll center it up. But these also have a secondary option of use, and that is for games like Kaboom or Super Breakout, games where you want to have a paddle going left or right on the screen. You can use the horizontal one to adjust the position of your paddle. So it's its own type of controller there. So, and of course, it's got the keypad. It doesn't have the keypad capability to put an overlay over the top, but you can figure it out. But I really like this controller. Retro Game Boys makes a very nice handsome.
That's really nice. How much does that one cost?
I think that one's around, don't quote me on this, 120. It could be as low as 100, but I can't. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's nice and substantial and big, and it's
all 3D
seems
printed.
like it's worth it,
But it's quality 3D print job. It's definitely. It's got rubber feet on the bottom, and I just really like this.
Me
especially
too.
With my little original. So I asked Tony Stout to make more of these, and when I do, I haven't shown this yet on my YouTube channel. So when I do, I will be, hopefully telling them how to get these so they can actually add it to theirs too. And by the way, I got this from a super fan of my YouTube channel, Jason Costner, and that may be why I didn't know how much it cost. He actually said, I really appreciate your channel, so I'm going to give you this. And I'm like, what? Anyway, but it was a
That's
really
so nice. That's happened to me a couple of times, and like I was like, what? Really? Like, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I don't get any payment for my YouTube channel because, I've not got enough views on the channel in a 1-year time span. It's mainly because I don't put out as many videos as a channel that's a full-time channel. So I would call mine a part-time adventure in YouTubing. And I'm not making money off of YouTube videos. But once in a while you get a perk. Somebody wants you to review their product, they'll send it to you, and you'll do it. And or maybe just out of the blue, Jason sends me something really awesome like that. So So anyway, I appreciate that. I do.
That's so cool. That's so it's. I've been doing this about 5.5, 6 years. And I actually put out typically 3 to 5 videos a week. It's kind of a lot. And I have a news channel.
Times the endeavor.
I have a show called Atari Newsline. So I'm a former journalist. So anytime there's any Atari news, I group together 4 or 5 stories and put out one. Depending on what it is, if it's real important, I'll put one out right away. I never live stream. It's all edited because I live up in the high mountains and my internet is not all that stable.
Right.
I also have some pretty subpar equipment, so I do what I can. But so I don't do live streams. I just put out shows and edit them all the time. And it's been fun. And there's been I've been so amazed at the kindness of viewers that watch the show. And there are some that have sent me things here or there over the years. I got a huge box for Christmas from Nintendo Cove it's still back here. It's got so much in it, and it was just amazing. But it's like that always just amazes me when people do that. And it's always a surprise. It's like, what? But
it's like Christmas.
It's appreciated.
Those gifts.
It's appreciated because we put a lot of work into this. And, we typically don't get paid for it. So it's nice to get something like that once in a while.
Absolutely. And, we're doing something that's of great value to gamers who want to play their games in the way they used to. And, when you unlock that, you take the key and you unlock the door to open up something new to people, it can be life-changing in a way, at least when it comes to the entertainment side of life. So I think it's very cool to see people that really want to, say that I really appreciate what you did for me in my life. So I'm going to do something nice for you. So that's very sweet.
I wanted to ask you just this weird question came to my mind, but back when I was like 13, 14, I used to always watch the Computer Chronicles on PBS. Okay. I'm not sure if you ever grew up with that or saw that.
Yeah.
But
actually, that sounds familiar. And this would have been what year? Maybe around 89 or 90?
It was like the mid 80s to like the late 90s, I think, somewhere in there. And and the host of that passed away the other day, Stuart Chaffee, I think his name is. And I was curious if you ever saw his channel as a young kid or like a 20-year-old or like however old you were, if you ever grew up with that show with watching it.
Yeah. No, it doesn't sound familiar. So shoot me a link if there's something I could watch. Help me get into that.
Sure.
Back in 1985, my dad brought home a TI 99 4A home computer.
That was my first computer, Steve.
Yeah, now we're talking. All right.
Yeah.
So played some Parsec,
speech synthesizer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, speech synth. Yeah, we had that. And and I used to create my own pieces of software. In fact, one of these days I'm going to do a Wired Up Retro about the TI and a little bit of the work I did to make some interesting programs back in the mid 80s. But it's near and dear to my heart. I still have one. I got it out in the past 15 years? No, but I do need to get it out because I love those games. And
it's
Parsec's fantastic. So
it is. I was 7 or 8 or so 8, I think. It was 83, and my dad, was like, he was going to get a family computer. I told this story on
Yeah.
my channel a few times, so I'll make it short, but he was like, I want to support Texas. Let's go get a Texas, because we were in Dallas. Let's go get a Texas Instruments computer. And I was like, but I want a Mac, and he's like, that's too much. So he spent $2,000 on this TI.
Wow.
A month
Wow.
later, it was $50 at Sears a month later.
Oh no.
He
Oh
was so
no.
pissed. But
Oh
he
my.
bought everything. We had the speech synthesizer. I
Yeah.
We had Parsec and Alpiner, the falling objects,
Right.
and
Yeah.
um I typed in my first program as an 8-year-old on that thing
Very
it
nice.
was called Mr. Bojangles, and it was in the back of the TI book that it
Oh,
came with.
okay.
And so that was my
Yeah.
first. It took me several tries because I didn't know how to backspace, Steve,
Yeah.
and
Oh, not
I
that's
didn't know
not
how to
good.
save. But we didn't have a disk drive. I couldn't save it.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
it sat there for like 3 days, and my mom would come in and trip over the cord, and I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Back in those days, you'd lose all your stuff and just
oh,
the one key or something, and it's gone.
yeah."
And
I just love
start
the
over.
TI. It's such a cool
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm glad to know that you are a TI guy. That's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely.
I love it. Yeah, and my friend Adam has a multi-cart for it, which I want to borrow, and that's got every game on it. There's a ton of games I haven't played on it, so I need to buy my own or borrow his one day.
Well,
Um,
if you have the speech synthesizer, try out Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator, because it's got a really nice speech synthesis to it, and that's one of my favorite games on pretty much any console you want to play it on. But on
yeah,
TI, it's kind of special because of that nice speech synthesis. Yeah.
yeah. And I was talking about this in a recent episode, but my dad had the terminal emulator with it too. And he had a
Yes.
barber shop for 40 years in Dallas, Fort Worth. He passed in 2019, but he
Yeah.
had a barber shop forever. And he had one of the first answering machines on his phone in the early 80s, I remember, on his
Nice.
computer,
Cool.
you know.
Yeah.
And and then and then he would get a call, we would hear it all the time. It's like part of my like memories. And then he also had this inversion bar over the door, and he would hang upside down with these boots on. It was kind of he was
That's an
quirky.
yeah. Yeah. Very cool though. All right.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. But yeah, all kinds of memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, we have about 7 minutes here before we're gonna go to our break, here in the middle.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
I do want to get to my controllers and talk to you about them. It's gonna be just a little small discussion, but I wanted to ask you, what is it like working on the 5200 podcast?
Okay. Well, I think the 5200 podcast, when I came aboard, Captain Bob and Dave basically had this podcast going for 1 or 2 episodes, and they asked me to just come on as a guest because they like my YouTube channel, since especially I do some 5200 things. So
Mhm.
I said, sure, yeah, I'll come aboard. And they liked our banter back and forth about the 5200, and they said, why don't you come back next time? It was not the very next episode, but the one after that.
Mhm.
And by that one, they said, we're just going to call you in. You're just going to have to participate in all of our podcasts. So, but back then, we had Glenn Planamento as part of the podcast group. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he's very active in the retro gaming community, making
Yeah.
actual high quality arcade parts. In fact, I have
He's got a huge channel. He's really big.
I have a stick that I used his joystick and
Look what I
trackball
have.
in. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's nice. I have mine right here.
I brought
Yeah,
that to show you later.
Yeah, I actually found that Tron stick on I think it was eBay, amongst a bunch of other old.
Me too. Yeah.
It was like $46 with a
Yeah.
bunch of other controllers. So anyway,
Nice.
but yeah, the Glenn Planamento connection with me and him, he's become a nice friend of mine, and I've been able to show how to make this on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in using one of these classic controllers to play your games on your PC. And I even got this thing working on the 5200, which was
Wow.
taking a lot of cables, adapters. I mean, that's another thing. My YouTube channel is a lot about using some adapter setups that are a little beyond crazy.
Yes.
I'm going for it. It's like I wonder if I could get an actual PC USB controller working on a 1980s piece of Atari console equipment. And lo and behold, it's possible. And I show how to do it, and it's always very complicated. And I draw diagrams showing everyone how I did it using the adapters, and I don't have to solder anything because I'm just using adapters that are spliced together in a power supply or something like that. So anyway, kind of crazy, but I do it
It's
for the
just
fun.
That's what I
Yeah.
love about your channel, because you do just kind of find things and see if they work together. And
Yeah.
I really love that. It's kind of like a kind of adventure, in a way.
Yeah.
But I just love it. I love that kind of
Yeah.
sense of discovery about your channel, because you'll just pick up something and, did you know that this works? And I had no idea it was going to work. And it's just amazing, Steve. I really love it.
Very startling. Now, this is a favorite controller of mine from the PlayStation days called the Nijicon, and I
Oh,
love
yeah.
racing. And I have what you might say, what are you doing here? Why are you putting Joy-Cons on an
Is that
Nijicon?
Joy-Cons? Yeah.
Joy-Cons. But what the reason I added them was so that they would rumble using a special adapter setup my Switch. So I'm actually playing Switch racing games with the Nijicon with it rumbling. And I also got it working on PS4 for those racing games. It'll work on a Xbox One if you have that. Anyway, it's kind of unique. I actually am the guy who developed a Cronus Max Plus script, which enables the Nijicon to work on modern day game systems. So I did have a whole episode of Wired Up Retro about this controller and using the Cronus Max, which is a little controller adapter. A lot of people think of it as, oh, if you have a Cronus Max Plus, you're cheating in your video games. You're doing some sort of thing to get better than other people in, let's say, Call of Duty.
Right.
And yeah, some people who do that, and it's kind of despicable. But you can also use it for a really positive reason, and that would be to make an old school controller work on modern games. And I even got this working on the 5200 in another episode, or the 2600. And I do all sorts of funny things. So, but yeah, this is another one of my crazy ideas that it rumbles, and I like that.
when you pulled that out, I remember that episode. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yep.
Just some awesome stuff. And what do you miss Radio Shack?
I did go into Radio Shack quite a bit, but I wasn't so much a soldering kind of working on transistors kind of guy. I really just never got into that. And you might notice on my YouTube channel, I don't do a lot of soldering.
No,
Once in a while, I have an episode where I get in there and I do solder something, but it's usually real simple. And it's not, I don't use solder braid or a solder sucker. I honestly, I probably would mess it up if I tried to do stuff like that. But in fact, I've got a buddy who just recently, I picked this up. This is an Xbox Elite controller. And the reason I picked it up, it was basically $11 shipped. I couldn't believe it.
Whoa.
The problem with it was the right thumbstick was jimmied and janky, and it was basically torn up. So I have a buddy who knows how to desolder with a solder sucker, and I went to his place of work where he's got a really nice workstation, and within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, he had the thing fixed. I mean, I could never have done it.
I've got a friend like that. He's a retired engineer named Rick. Man, he used to build his own modems in the early 80s for his Atari computers. Yeah. He'll take apart a 800 XL and clean it and everything, and I'm just like, and he'll upgrade it, and I'm like, and he does it for fun. And I'm like, I love you, Rick.
I actually have two buddies that are like that. John is the one that did this, and then the other guy is Ryan Powell, and Ryan has helped me with a couple of things on my YouTube channel here and there. So I appreciate him a lot. But yeah, if those guys, they were probably the guys in Radio Shack all the time.
Yeah.
Me, I'd go in to look around and once in a while buy something. But yeah, I really wasn't, doing a lot of soldering, tinkering with circuits and circuit boards and things like that. Yeah.
It's going to end right now, but we'll come right back. Okay, Steve?
Yes. All right.
All right. We'll see you in about 5 minutes. Thank you. It's great.
Okay. Appreciate it. This is fun.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm back here with Steve from Wired Up Retro on YouTube, and he's got an awesome channel all about controllers for every type of console, not just Atari. But of course, we're interested in the Atari stuff mostly here, but there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of people that watch my channel play everything kind of like I do. So, Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about a couple of items that you've been kind of tinkering with recently?
Yeah. So, some of you may notice that, I haven't put out a Wired Up Retro episode in a number of months. I'm working a 6-day work week right now, and
Wow.
my life got really, really busy. And I've been driving out to my mom's place on many of the weekends just to visit with her. Lost my dad about 2022. So anyway, you probably noticed my YouTube channel doesn't have as many videos, and that's basically it. That's the reason. But I have been pouring my life into a number of newer game consoles made by either My Arcade or having Atari behind it. One of which is this Atari Game Station Pro, which I made about 3 or 4 videos about, and all my videos had to do with having to do with the controllers that you might have thought wouldn't work with the system. I mean, this is what comes with it, kind of a unique controller. But some people don't want to use this; they want to use maybe a modern controller, or maybe they want to use an actual old Atari 2600 controller, or maybe even a Vectrex controller on this thing. Why would you want to do that? Well, maybe you like that controller from the 80s. So I did make a video that had to do with the Gamer Pro and the Gamer Pro Advanced, and also a product made by that same company called the Bridge. And this company goes by the name Blissbox. And so they make products that enable you to use your old school 1970s or 80s, 90s controllers on, let's say, USB systems like this, or a variety of other things. Like you can take a Nintendo 64 controller and plug it into your Atari 5200 if you want to. I've actually used a Jaguar controller on my Atari 5200 with one of the Blissbox products. This is one that I don't think he's yet gotten this to work on the other systems, but this works on a Jaguar. It's got a rotary dial, and I showed on my YouTube channel how I weighted that to make it spin a little extra well. So, but the Blissbox products, I have to touch on it because I really love the Atari Game Station Pro, and when using an old controller to play your games, Genesis controller or Super Nintendo controller on this system, it makes it much, much more authentic to how you played games back in the day. So now the Atari Game Station Pro is made by My Arcade, and they've now come up with the Atari Game Station Go. And that controller, or this is a controller and a console built into one. It's basically like a Nintendo Switch with 2 really nice features, and that is a paddle swiveling, and then also a little mini trackball, which actually has a good amount of spin to it. It's also got the keypad, which can be useful in games for the Atari 5200 that you might load into this, or in television games that you might load into this. So just like the Atari Game Station Pro, there are some issues with the controllers that you plug into it. Things like the Super Nintendo emulator that's built into this won't allow certain controller actions to happen right. So I've come up with, in my first video about the Game Station Pro, some of the ways to make solutions for those problems. One of those was to direct plug this PS4 controller into it, and it actually has programmable buttons. So you could actually rearrange your buttons in the way you want using a programmable controller. This is called the Hori FPS Plus, and it was released in other countries, not the US. But you can pick it up pretty reasonably priced, $50-$60 off of eBay or other websites, and use this on your Game Station Pro. It also works pretty well with the Game Station Go. In fact, the original PlayStation 4 controller wireless works really well with this for a number of the emulators, although there are still some issues. And I'm working on a video actually it's going to be 2 or 3 videos that have to do with using external controllers to get this system, to get the most out of this system you can possibly get. So I really love the Atari Game Station Go. It's got issues. I'm solving them. And
Mm.
one cool thing about this is it actually can connect to your TV, just like the Atari Game Station Pro could. And then, through HDMI, you can play your games with an external controller, just like it was just a standalone console. And a lot of people, say, well, why would you plug an external controller into a handheld? Well, because maybe you're going to use it plugged into your TV. That's why. So anyway,
Yes.
love the system. What do you think about it? Have you you've got one? I see it in
I
your
love it.
background.
Well,
Yeah.
there's the box for it, but Steve, it's my favorite product of 2025, and I had kind of a year-end roundup, a few weeks ago. I mean, I like it even more than the Sprint. The Game Station Go I play every day. That's why it's not here, because it's charging in the kitchen. So
Right, yeah.
that's how much I
I've
play it. I
played
love
with
it.
it
I
too.
freaking love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not perfect. I one of my complaints in my review is that it did not come with more 5,200 games, because half of them are sports games that, I mean, I like volleyball and that's kind of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, but I wish it had more games. I understand there are like a lot of arcade ports and stuff that maybe they couldn't do, but I just wish that 5,200 was more represented. I think not having JAG games on it is like criminal. And Lynx. I heard the processor wasn't powerful enough for Jaguar, but it is for Lynx, because you could play every Lynx game
Yeah.
on it, from my understanding. So
Yeah, you can.
it's just weird. It didn't come with more,
Yeah. Well, the 5,200, I've loaded on a number of those games, and I have this Game Station Go wireless
Yes.
controller made by My Arcade, and it is very, very nice. It lights up. It's kind of a beautiful controller, and it's got the keypad, it's got the trackball and the little rotary knob on it. And by the way, I made for this controller a rotary knob using 3D printing. And
Oh,
for a
nice.
while I had this on Etsy, but then I decided to no longer sell it because there was somebody else selling, and they had a really, really nice one. But then I decided, well, I wonder if I could get this to fit on here. And sure enough, with a little extra, I use a little electric tape inside the hole there. It seems to fit pretty much just fine. So
Wow.
yeah, I like the knob a little bit bigger, and so that works out pretty nicely. But I really wanted this to work for, let's say, Super Nintendo games, but it's still got some issues to play that particular emulator on board. So, like I said, I'm figuring out some unique ways that can make it work, and one of those may involve Cronus Max Plus. Another one will involve the Gamer Pro Advanced. So these adapters again will come into play, and there will be many people who are going to love the system a whole lot more once they get a load of the control options I'm going to show them. In fact, this one right here, this is an Atari VCS gamepad, and then I've got the Atari VCS joystick way back here, and I've got these now working via the via the Cronus Max Plus. I created little scripts and that you load into that adapter and plug that right into your Game Station Go, and you're playing Atari games, 1 and 2 button games, without a problem. So anyway,
Wow.
I'm looking forward to showing that off in a future episode. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun for a whole lot of people.
That is awesome. And I actually cover the VCS a lot on my channel, like all the games and everything.
Yeah.
And Atari recently had a sale where you could get those controllers for $30 a piece. The classic and the modern. And I actually purchased both of them because I have a VCS as backups. And then one of my subscribers sent me a gift box with 2 more, so I've got 2 backup sets of VCS controllers. But when they're on sale, that's like $30 for a controller that normally costs $60, I think.
Be able to use it with this, I mean, it's all going to be Atari branded. I love it. So
I do too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. But the problem with the Cronus Max Plus, it's about a $70 adapter. I have it sitting right over here. So yeah, I'll bring it up to the screen so you can see it. You can find them on eBay. I think Amazon, you can find them, but they're no longer technically in production by the company that oversees this. So you'd have to buy one either used or, pay a premium for a new one. But,
Yeah.
it does a lot of things. I use this thing a lot on various different videos I've made, and I figure you've noticed that I've used the Windows
Yeah.
Max Plus. But yeah, I love it. It works really well, and I appreciate it a lot. And another thing I'll show you that works with the Atari Game Station Pro, just out of the box, this wireless gamepad made by Atari for the 7800. If you plug this, it comes with a little receiver, and this
Yeah.
is wireless. If you plug it directly into this system, you have to use a little USB-C thing to plug it into port 1. It'll play the Atari one-button games, whether it's a 5200 game or a 7800 game or a 2600 game, without any problems. Just, it works really, really well.
Mhm.
But, I was like, daggone it, why couldn't that second button work? So again, I did find a way to get it to work with Cronus Max Plus once again, and I am going to show this on a future Wired Up Retro episode on how to get that second button active to play
That's
your
so
7800
cool.
and 5200 games with an official Atari gamepad. So anyway,
That's
I'm
so
excited
neat.
about that.
I've been
Yeah.
talking about Atari's modern CX40 joysticks and all that because they are
Oh yeah.
great to use on a variety of consoles because it comes with the receiver and then or you can use, or well it comes with all of it, right? The receiver, the part that
Right.
goes in there, all that. The 9-pin, is
Mhm.
that what it is? Part.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's great. And my friend Adam, he goes by Bally Alley, he covers the Bally Astrocade.
Yeah.
He lives down the street here in Albuquerque, but his friend brought over like the new it was like a new Spectrum.
Okay.
I don't know what it was called, but it just came out and it's got USB-C connections and all that, right? And
Right.
it's the smaller one, the smaller Spectrum, and he actually used that gamepad on the Spectrum, and we play Bounty Bob Strikes Back
Oh,
for
nice.
that system using that controller. It was so cool. It just worked right out of the box.
Very cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat how it works right out of the box there for that and for the Atari Game Station Go. And you
Mhm.
can buy this on Etsy, which is, if you ever watch Gen X Grown Up YouTube channel,
Yeah.
he kind of produces some videos that promotes a product made by Paul. I'm not sure Paul's last name, but he's on Etsy selling things. And
Mm.
Paul makes these little add-on things. This is supposed to be an Intellivision add-on stick. This is a ColecoVision add-on stick, and this one is just an actual, supposed to be like a joystick that you can add on. Let me see if I can get that out of there. It's kind of hard to get out. Yeah, there it is. You can kind of
Oh,
see it's a
wow.
little teeny tiny joystick. But if you're playing, let's say on your Atari Game Station Go, an Intellivision game, and you want an actual Intellivision looking pad, you can just screw that right in, and you don't screw it too tight because otherwise it'll maybe be an issue. But once you got it in there, you can use it like you would an Intellivision controller. So,
Oh,
and
wow.
in an upcoming video I'm producing, I like I said, use Cronus Max Plus. I've got a little code in the Cronus Max Plus to let you go vertical, so you can use
Oh, wow.
it's this way. It's right
Tate
hand.
mode.
Right, yeah, right hand on this, and it works properly, and then left hand on the buttons.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. So anyway, I created a little code for Cronus Max Plus to get this working vertically for your Intellivision games. And if you get community firmware on your Atari Game Station Go, which supposedly is coming out very, very soon, you might be able to get ColecoVision games playing with it. And there's that ColecoVision topper that could be put on here as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it is kind of a flat disc, but you can put that in there as well. Just screw it into place. There it is. And you're going to have it. You can either choose to play vertically with the code I use on my Cronus Max Plus, or horizontally if you like that better. So, but actually it would be, your thumb's on the left and the button's on the right if you do
Hmm.
horizontal. But if you choose the vertical, you can actually do the right hand, which I like better. So
Oh,
there you
yeah, of
go.
course. There's so many
Yeah.
options there. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It,
So
you know,
that's an Etsy product.
that is so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
There's a if you're my neighbor, I would be over your house like every other day. Like, would
Yeah,
this
you know,
work with
I'd
that?
be
Would
over
this
there.
work with that?
Yeah, we'd have a good old time, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, I've got four arcades in my house. I live alone. I'm a bachelor. I'm in a two-story house, and
Yeah.
so I fill it with video games. You know.
So you're a bachelor whose wife, you don't have a wife to worry
No.
about with all this stuff. I've
You know,
I've loaded up my basement. I have.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, what does your wife think of all your controllers and your stuff? Is she okay with it?
Hmm. Well, you know, she's been very gracious. She knew what she was getting into, and she and I got married in 2013. But it's the accumulation of extra stuff, and of course, boxes has increased. And so I do get a little bit of flack, but yeah, that's just the nature of the situation. I've got a lot of stuff, and eventually, I'm going to be at retirement age, and I don't think there's going to be a downsizing, but hopefully not. If we have to move to a smaller home, I'd be like, I'm in trouble now.
Hmm.
So, but,
Right.
yeah, she wouldn't mind it. She wouldn't mind it if I dumped off pretty much all of the collection. But I've told her that a lot of this means a lot of it's very near and dear to my heart.
It brings
So
you a
she's
lot of
not.
joy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and once in a while I do sell off something here and there and bring in some money, and she's like, "Oh, thank goodness."
We're finally making money at it.
Yes, yeah. Instead of you spending about $40 every couple of weeks, maybe
Right.
you only make $40. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna
Mhm.
say I kind of switching gears. I gathered some controllers that I've gotten from around the house. Now this isn't everything; it's just ones I grabbed in a hurry type thing. I
Yeah.
just wanted to show you kind of what I have to show
Oh,
you
I'm very
what I have.
interested to see it. Yeah, definitely.
Here's the first thing was the 5200 adapter, which I love. Everyone should try to. I don't know if they make these anymore, but this was a great buy.
Yeah,
Um, and
that's
off of eBay.
John's from Greece, and I actually had a hand in getting those out. Actually,
Really?
John from yeah, he was originally making a PC 15 pin to Genesis controller adapter, and I hooked that up to a 5200 to 9-pin adapter, and that actually ended up working. And I was like, I reached out to John from Greece, and I said, now that you could potentially make something that works for the 5200, now that I ran the test and it worked, I want to just give you the information about the 5200 adapter I added to yours, and maybe you could just make these. And then he took it and ran, and he ended up selling lots of them.
That's
So
great.
I actually had a little hand in getting those produced.
I had no
Yeah,
idea. I mean, that's
yeah,
just fantastic. I love this thing though. If you want to play
yeah,
5200, get one of these or get any of the things John's talking about too, or Steve, I'm sorry,
yeah.
to play your 5200 games better than using the controller, the non-centering controller. I also got this. This is the Power Stick,
Yes, I have one of those.
and
I have a pair of those for my TI 99 as well.
yes, and
Mhm.
this was made by I think Amiga, who did the power board. Um,
Yes,
because I
one of
was in
those too.
yeah, I was in a
Yeah.
thrift store out here in Albuquerque 10 years ago. I walked in and they had a power board with clothes on it. I could already see it because I just saw a video about it. And I was
All
like,
right.
and I asked her, "Is this for sale?" She goes, "Oh yeah, you can just take that." And I was
Oh
like,
my
"Here's
goodness.
$5." She's like, "Okay, wow." I mean, she was gracious. And I was like,
Yes,
I got it for $5.
that's amazing. Wow.
But I
I
had to
think I
go and
got
get
mine. Yeah,
I
yeah,
I had to go and find this on eBay. This is a really tiny little joystick called a Power Stick. It's really weird, and I really like it. It's quirky, and it's not the
yeah,
best, but it's interesting. you know,
yeah. I agree. I agree. If only they made it just a little bigger.
yeah, yeah, just a little. I also
Yeah.
got this actually. Do you know Somber Productions, Carl Forhan?
That name rings a bell. Tell me about it.
He runs a website called Somber Productions, and he actually has helped put out a lot of Jaguar and Lynx games that were never released. And then he actually sells
That might be
Evercade
good.
games on his page now and stuff too. But
Got it.
he,
Yeah.
he had a YouTube listing for this, which was an aftermarket Jaguar Pro controller.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. And I have one of those.
I got this off of eBay. It's an aftermarket, but it works great. I actually got it from Songbird because it was his eBay account. And
Yeah.
I just love it. But it's got more buttons, it's got more options and
Yeah.
all that.
It's modeled after a controller that's called the Pro controller from the 90s that Atari made. And the difference is the one that Atari
Yes,
made has Atari emblazoned on it, and this one
for the
doesn't.
ST,
So
right? For the ST, I've
yeah,
heard about that with
yeah.
with
And
the
the
blue and the
company,
gray accents. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now the company behind it is Hoskinson's Industries, and they made a boatload of these things back around, I think it was 2012 or something, and they were selling them at I think it was 140 or $150 for two of them. So me and a buddy who had a Jaguar at the time went ahead and put our money together and we got a pair. So I got one for
Mhm.
me and he got one for him.
That's
So I
smart.
like it. Yeah, it's definitely a nice controller to have.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and it's like, who doesn't need more buttons on their Jaguar controller, right? I mean, you're
I
right.
know. You might as well just add an extra button. I mean, why don't they have maybe 20 buttons instead of 19?
I mean, if only took one of the CDs on the side so it could be a Jag CD, right?
Yeah. And people do complain about that controller being uncomfortable to, very unwieldy to hold. But in all actuality, I had a
I like
Jaguar in
it.
the 90s. I got
I
really
like
used to
it.
holding it. I think
Yeah.
it's very comfortable. In fact, I think it's
I
more
mean,
comfortable than a Super Nintendo controller to
I do
hold.
too.
But,
I mean, it's
each
grippy.
his own. Yeah, it
It's like
is.
grippy. You could lay your palms on it. It's not going to get tired. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like it too.
Well,
Um,
especially the Pro. The Pro controller feels even better than the original one. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. I also got my Tron controller off of eBay, kind of like you did. I didn't get
Yeah,
mine with a
yeah,
bunch of other
fine
ones.
with.
It was just this. So
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, we both have it. Love
Yeah.
it.
And then I actually found
Yeah, I was
I
worried. I was worried it wasn't going to work, and when it came in the mail, I was like, "Oh, I bet you this thing isn't working," and it works fantastic. So I'm so
yeah,
glad.
I thought the same. Yeah.
Wanted one for so long. Yeah.
And this is by Mattel, right? For like the Adventures of
Right.
Tron and all that. Um
Yes. Yeah.
I recently found a Sears Video Arcade 2 at a half price books in Arlington, Texas. I'm from that area, so I often go back
Oh,
home
that's a
and
good.
it's about 9 hours from here. But I was at a half price books. I got a Sears Video Arcade 2, which was my first Atari console. And I hadn't seen it in
Ah,
like 40 something years, so I bought it. And it came with these, which is weird. It came with these joysticks with these ball toppers. And I had never
yeah.
seen this in
Right.
my
So
life. I was like, what is that?
that's called the it's called the grabber, and it was a 1980s item, and that you have the foil around the perimeter there. So yeah, that's a nice thing to have. I have one. Yeah, those are nice to have. I like
I
them.
was like, it
And
almost
what's
looks
even
like a
better is when
70s, like a 70s video, or it looked
yeah,
like Heart of Glass or
it,
something.
if you have there's this thing you can stick your 2600 controller into that's square, and it kind of it lays on a table to stabilize, and when you have that grabber ball on top, it really really feels cool. It feels like you're in
Oh,
the arcade almost.
I didn't
So
know
you
it had
might
a
want to look for one
stand.
of those square stands. Yeah,
Oh, I
the
didn't know
square
that.
stand was to fit the four corners, the four angled corners there. So yeah, you
Huh.
might want to pick that up. Yeah.
I never even heard about these. And then literally a day after I got these, I saw that I think Gen X Grown Up had a video about them. And I was like, I just got one yesterday. It was so weird.
Funny, yeah. Isn't it funny how the things show up right when
Yeah,
I got your attention on it? Yeah.
so weird. I
Yeah.
do have some other ones around here, but I'm gonna stop it there. It's basically it's probably stuff you've seen. Those are the ones I had kind of
Yeah.
around me. Um, I wanted to really
Let me
quickly.
let me show you one.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll show you
Are you
one more
sure?
too.
No, you go ahead because I'm
Yeah.
gonna switch to. I was gonna switch to some 5200 games. So go ahead, and if you have controllers
So
you want to talk about.
there is one controller that works with this turbo game for the Atari 2600. And this, again, was sent to me by my super fan, Jason Costner, who was so gracious. And, when I plugged it in and I played it, I actually, found that you could use a paddle with it and a joystick to change the gears. So you could use two controllers at once, and it was very unwieldy to use that mode. You could also just use a joystick to control the game if you wanted to. But I'm like, man, I want to use a paddle that has, maybe an extra button on it. That would be nice for this game. So there's a guy out there who's making that very type of controller. So let me introduce this. This is a turbo controller.
Wow.
And it's from Charles Dysert. Charles Dysert, Dysert. And so he made this, I think, originally in 2024 to use with that turbo game. And it's got all the buttons that you need to play that turbo game. So anyway, it's adding to the fun, that's for sure. So again, I may have a Wired Up Retro episode about this particular product while it's still being made. I need to get that video produced. Anyway,
I haven't even heard of that game. I haven't heard of that game before at all.
Yeah, it's made by Champ Games. So it's a nice game, but it's
a
extra. Yeah, it is. And, well, it's, they're an official Atari game producer. I wouldn't even call it a homebrew. I'd call it an official release from Champ Games. But they are very, very good at programming. The game is a little extra hard, I will say. It's not going to be one that easy to learn, hard to master. I think it's just hard to learn and then a little harder to master. But I'm going to put some more time into it. And, when I produce that video, hopefully I'll be good enough to do a respectable showing of the gameplay.
I think you should. That's great. Yeah. I want to get Champ Games on the channel at some point. My friend Mike's Gaming Gala has them on all the time. And I'm like, I need to get them on.
Yeah. Well, they're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also found out recently that I used to live in this little town in East Texas, and because my dad's mother passed away in the mid '80s, and we moved away from Dallas Fort Worth to East Texas, to this town called Maybank, Texas. Now I didn't know this, but that's where Telegames, Telegames had a building there or an office there.
Have you heard of Lubbock, Texas?
Lubbock, yes.
Like PI was from Lubbock, right? I think.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, Lubbock and the Panhandle out on the west side. There's like nothing there. But but I didn't realize, but that's where the same town I grew up in the mid '80s was where I think it's Telegames.
Yeah, Telegames
was based there, and kind of like. And we're only there a couple of years, and we moved back to the mid city. So after we moved, they actually made a business there, and in that small little town, I was like, that's so weird. And at that point, I didn't realize until just about a year ago. I was like, what? They're based there?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, really weird.
Wow, you could have gotten a tour of the whole facility.
I know, and I had a 2600 at that point. That was during the video game crash or right after. So it was, there was nothing to buy anywhere, but
during the video game crash, when I was like 10, 12, 13, 14, we used to go to KB Toys and just scrounge around buying $4 games. And man, that was a good time. We enjoyed that. I played so many games that I bought for $4, and I had so much fun. It was a great time in my life.
If only I was older. I was 7 or 8 at the time, and you were a little older. I didn't have any. Yeah. I mean, I had allowance, but it was like $5. I mean, I couldn't really. Yeah. I didn't think I had enough money to buy anything, but I probably could have. If I really thought about it.
I had paper route money to blow, so
it
was good. I was rolling in the dough.
Yes, that's awesome. We have about 9 minutes left. I know it's hard to believe, but having such a great time talking to you.
Yeah, this is fun.
I brought some 5200 games that are favorites because whenever the other hosts were on, we talked about some, and these I can't remember. These might be the same, but these are the ones I played recently that I really love, and I just wanted to share them with you while you're here.
And I've got a few myself that I wanted to just, some are prototypes, so
awesome.
It might be interesting.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, here's my favorite, probably my favorite, Rescue on Fractalus.
Oh, so fun. Yeah. Very neat game.
I
Really?
freaking love it. It's got one of the first jump scares I think in a video game. You know, the aliens. Ugh.
Oh, I have shown the jump scare on my YouTube channel. In fact, my buddy from the 5200 podcast, Pete, has mastered that game. I would call it mastered. He's got it down, and he knows exactly which keypad button to press when that alien pops his ugly face up into your window. So, but yeah, hey Pete, I hope you're watching this. But yeah, Pete and I have done videos together on my YouTube channel. He's a good friend.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a favorite. I also had to get this because I like shooters. I'm one of those people. So
Oh yeah, me
of
too.
course I had to get Mega Mania.
Yep, that's a great
Uh,
shooter. Whole
I
lot of
love
fun.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
And the box is so weird. It's,
It's
so bizarre. It's got
designed to
late
sell.
all over it.
Yeah. I mean, like, what in the world were they doing?
And is that
Yeah.
I I used to think this was
I
Ferris Bueller on the front.
yeah, I think they just were on drugs at the
I
time.
think
That's
so too.
basically
I love that box though. And there's a cat down there.
yeah, okay, of course. What in the world? That's great.
I also got the Dreadnought Factor.
Yeah.
I found this out here for $18.99 at a gaming
I
store.
was gonna say that's a high dollar 5200 game. Yeah.
And it's got everything in it. I was like, oh my God, I gotta buy that.
It's
One
a
of my
really fun, wonderful
so
game.
good.
And again, I have to point out my friend Pete, he's the master of Dreadnought Factor. I play it, in short spurts. I have a good time, but man, he's devoted to it. He can go through level after level. I mean, he's so good.
It's such an
Yeah,
interesting game.
it is. Yeah. Works really well with analog controller.
Yeah. And of course, I had
Mhm.
to bring this because I think this is probably the best version of Pac-Man. Back in the early days was the 5200 version. Um,
Oh yeah.
and I got
Aztec.
this.
Maybe not the controller, but the game itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's and I used to think if only Atari back then said, yes, here's the 2600 version. If you want the real experience, get a 52 or get a 5200. I don't think they ever
Yeah.
did that or sold it that way, but and with other games too. But I think if they would have done that back in the day that they could have sold more 5200s.
Yeah.
Um,
They kind of dropped the ball a bit when it came to the marketing of that console. It was, I don't remember seeing a lot of ads for it when I was a kid. 2600 stuff, ads all over the place.
yeah.
5200, maybe one or two that I saw here and there, but very few. Yeah.
I always tell folks my best part about these games or the 5200 games is the manuals were the cream of the crop and they still are in my opinion. These manuals are
Oh,
just
yeah.
amazing. They have pictures and
Yep. That's very beautiful.
I mean you can't get that
Yeah.
anywhere else. And so I always tell
Yeah.
people if they collect for the 5200, please get the
Yeah.
manuals because they're actually really
Yeah.
well done.
That Champ Game Turbo has, again, just wonderful color inside the manual. And, it's a really well-made manual. So the Champ Games they knock it out of the park. It really is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've heard Mike say that too to me. Um we
Now, if
have
only they'd make 1,500 games.
I know. We have about
Yeah.
5 more minutes. Did you want to go over? Do you have anything down there you wanted to go over, game wise?
Yeah, I'll show you some of my prototypes. Mike Thomason, who's the guy who runs Good Deal Games, when I go to QuarksCon and other shows that are in central, like the Midwest Ohio area, central Ohio, he and I, get together. He said he was selling off a lot of 5200 prototypes. So I picked this up. This is Asteroids for the 5200, and it's a prototype game that never came out in the 80s, but was, eventually copied and released later. And then another find I've got is Crystal Castles, and this I obtained. My buddy Jason Costner generously gave me that, and then we've got this. I paid my own money for this one. This is the Zaxxon. I think they call it the Zaxxon 4K or something like that. But it has the ability to fly not just left and right in outer space, but up and down as well. And the boss has some extra nice graphics. So I like that. This is another game I picked up from Good Deal Games quite a while back, Blaster, and that's a nice one. And of course, I bought this from Atari Age. This is Tempest, a fantastic analog 5200 game that works really, really well with a trackball for the 5200, but even better with a modified controller that I show you how to make on my YouTube channel, which is basically a trackball that's been modified to have a spinner knob or rotary knob.
Wow.
And works really well with that game Tempest. So in fact, on my YouTube channel, I not only show how to make it, but then I show all the gameplay experiences you can have with that controller. So anyway, I really like Tempest for the 5200. It's an amazing game that was put together after the 80s, and I'm so excited about that game. This is The Last Starfighter, which is kind of the sequel to Star Raiders for the 5200. It's a nice game and very colorful, and it's got a lot of it's just really very good on graphics. This is IntelliDiscs, and this was the homebrew. It's basically Tron for the Intellivision that's been kind of upgraded. And yes, you can play 4 players if you have a 4-port 5200. And that game, it can be played with a, what is it? I'm forgetting. There's a number of controller options. I'll just put it that way. You can actually use 2-stick control to play the game, or you can use just a stick and the keypad as well. So it's got some options for you. And I have a video dedicated to that for you guys who are interested in that. And then last but not least, I picked up Scramble, again, from the guy who runs Good Deal Games. This cost me a lot of money. So I had to use some money that I had stowed away to get that. It was over, let's say, over $100. But, you know, when it was first...
Scramble.
When it first came out, like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, it was $45, and then everybody gobbled it up, and now you can't find it anywhere. So I decided to go ahead and spend the big bucks and grabbed it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful version. It's got kind of an enhanced graphics to it, above and beyond anything you saw in any of the 80s consoles back in the day. So pretty neat game.
That is so cool. There's a lot of games I need to get for my 5200 actually, still, but I have 50 or so of the original run, so I've got a good collection. You know, it's not all in the box, but it's
really good.
I've got 20 in the box. You know,
there were 69 80s releases, and I've got 68 of them. And of course, the one I'm missing is the almighty Bounty Bob Strikes Back, which is worth well over probably $800 at this point. It might be over that for all I know. But
I remember Dr. Bob talking about that and Blasteroids or whatever, and tracking down the last cart they could get on eBay or whatever.
Well, I think Pete on the podcast is the only one who actually has Bounty Bob Strikes Back. Yeah, and that one he paid a good pretty penny for it, but he got the manual with it, and I think he got a deal.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So anyway, a lot of the 5200 games are getting a little bit higher in price. So if you haven't started a 5200 collection, now might be the time for the price to go even higher. So
definitely. Our time is up, Steve. I appreciate you so much for coming on. Thank you so much, everyone. Go check out Wired Up Retro. It's fantastic. And I'm so glad you could talk with us today. It's been great.
Yeah, I had a whole lot of fun. Thanks for inviting me.